Multiculturalism is defined as the coexistence of diverse cultures, where culture includes racial, religious, or cultural groups and is manifested in customary behaviors, cultural assumptions and values, patterns of thinking, and communicative styles. When going into any classroom across the world, one will be faced with different cultures. It is safe to assume that culture is becoming more widespread, and therefore it is seen in all kinds of settings. Language is one of the key things to consider when thinking about multiculturalism. Language can be chosen as a strategy depending on the people's political, economic, and social position. In other words, language as culture can be a strategy for people to acquire better opportunities for study or work, and sometimes more importance is placed on learning the national language or English in addition to their mother tongue. One of the biggest problems facing educators when it comes to multiculturalism is a language barrier. Sugimura says, in a multicultural society, nation building and national integration should be eminent tasks as such. National education plays a significant role in creating a national culture. The way a nation is educated determines how the nation sees different cultures. If a nation is well educated when it comes to other cultures, they are more likely to be accepting of diverse cultures. However, those who are uneducated tend to be more reserved when it comes to the acceptance of diversity. Teachers are a force for responsibility and activism. Teachers can support multiculturalism because of the role that they play in the classroom. Teachers foster responsibility and activism through the students that they teach. It is important for teachers to realize this. Teachers can be advocates for multiculturalism through the role that they play in the classroom already. The research shows that 30% of students have a low level of development of the culture of international relations, but only 2.1% of students present a willingness to engage in constructive dialogue with the representatives of other cultures. Stark says that students typically have low levels of development of cultural relations. Students typically do not have a good understanding of cultural diversity. Only 2.1% of students present a willingness to engage in discussion that would further the understanding of cultural diversity. The South Carolina College and Career Readiness Standard 2-4.1 requires that students be able to recognize the basic elements that make up a cultural region in the United States, including language, beliefs, customs, art, and literature. This is used to support multiculturalism in that it has students thinking about the key elements that make up multiculturalism. While this standard is talking about a cultural region in the United States, teachers could branch off and talk about cultures in different countries. This could help students understand where the cultural regions in the United States get their roots. For example, there is a large Mexican population in New Mexico, so the students could learn that those roots come from Mexico. Multiculturalism is not the only type of diversity that will be present in the classroom. Students will come into our class with a wide variety of learning styles. As teachers, we must be able to accommodate the different types of learning styles that we will be seeing. It is important to accommodate these learning styles so that each student can learn in the best way possible. Because each student learns differently, teachers need to differentiate their instruction. The South Carolina College and Career Readiness Standard 3-4.1 requires that students be able to compare the economic conditions for various classes of people in South Carolina, including the elite, the middle class, the lower class, the independent farmers, and the enslaved and free African Americans. Teachers can use this standard to reach across the different types of intelligences. There are a wide variety of activities that teachers can do for this standard. They can have students do a skit to represent the different classes. Another idea would be to create a graphic organizer describing each class. Ballou defines response to intervention as a range of assessment, instruction, and intervention principles, including 1. Offering multiple tiers of support for students, depending on the level of reading difficulty they may be experiencing. 2. Allocating staff to provide that tiered support to students. And 3. Collecting and using data to make instructional and intervention decisions for students throughout the school year. This is extremely important because this is how we as teachers help students that are struggling. We must ensure that our students are meeting the standards. A lot of this has to do with reading levels. While we are teaching our students social studies, we must also make sure that they are not falling behind in their reading. The South Carolina College and Career Readiness Standard 3-4.2 requires that the students be able to summarize the development of slavery in antebellum South Carolina, including the invention of the cotton gin and the subsequent expansion of an economic dependence on slavery. For this standard, teachers can get all of the students to write a summary and then have a workshop where the students will read each other's work and correct each other's work. This would not only help the writing of every student, but also the reading skills of students that need intervention. As future teachers, we must realize that differentiation and multiculturalism are both things that we will face every day. It is absolutely critical that we understand the role we play in ensuring that every student feels welcome and loved in our classroom. We must realize that the way we act and the example that we set sets the stage for how other students will act and behave. Our students depend on us to provide differentiation in our lesson and acceptance of all cultures and learning styles, and it is our responsibility to support them in this. So join me and other teachers in making sure that all of our lessons are appropriate for all learning styles and all cultures to ensure that each student has the best learning experience possible.